I'm welcoming myself back in this channel. Now, I have not been filming a lot for the past 2 years, and a lot has changed since then. I will catch you on some things that I have in mind, which I thought I'd share with you. Without further ado, let's hop right into the video. I go get my brows tinted and shaped, but other than that, I haven't really been doing a lot to it. When I have little stubby hairs that are growing, I kind of just let it be. So I have been using this Got2b hair brow tamer. You can buy this from supermarket. This is great because it's honestly like hairspray for your brows. The only thing is that if you put a little bit too much, it can mess up with you putting on your foundation. So what I do is I just lightly put this on my brows, kind of let it dry for a little bit, and then use a spoolie to brush the brows up. That way I don't have the product smearing everywhere, because once you put foundation over, it's not gonna look cute. So where have I been? I have been honestly just working. We have moved once again, but this is going to be our home for the next 20 plus years. I finally have my own space, so I can pretty much film everywhere in the house. I have just been filming short form content, mainly focused on thrifted shopping. I kind of opted from doing makeup videos, mainly because I find that we have been over consuming a lot of makeup products. I had a deep declutter last year when we moved, and it made me realize that there's so many products that I have purchased in the past purely because of virality, because of the trend, and because they're all new, but I actually have not used any of them. So what I did was I donated the products that I have not touched to the secondhand stores. As long as they're not open, they can still sell it. And then the ones that I find myself reaching, that's all I kept. So I've concised my makeup collection now. The only makeup products that I really do purchase are mascara. I go through mascaras often. This brow gel, this is like the third tube that I've purchased, and setting spray. Those are the products that I purchase frequently. Everything else I still use, and I've focused mainly on just doing an everyday makeup. I remember I used to do a lot of colorful makeups, but I don't know what happened. I use the One Size Secure the Sweat because we're coming into, well, supposedly spring, but it's really not springy today. For brows, I have been loving the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade. I have the shade Ebony. This is what it looks like. I have dented it a little bit, but because I don't use a lot, I tried to use the thinnest brush that I could find. I don't even remember what brush this is, but the point is so thin. Once the brow tamer is dry, I would then go over with the pomade. I only really fill in my brows very lightly, and I just use another brow gel that I have recently been loving. If you remember, I was so loyal to the Kosas brow gel, but since I have run out and they have rocketed the price, honestly, makeup in New Zealand is so expensive. It's like every time you buy makeup, you easily drop $60 minimum, depending on what you're buying. So I'm lucky in that department because I still have quite a bit of makeup that I have purchased and hoarded when the prices were not so high. Anyway, I can't remember what I was saying. That's literally it. That's all I do with my brows. This product will honestly last me for a lifetime. Recently, I have been loving this Fenty Beauty Soft Lit Luminous Foundation. I used to have the matte foundation, but I got rid of it because it was so old. And then too, I got a darker shade. So the shade that I have now is 265, which matches me a little bit better, and it's more of a neutral tone. I find that Fenty Beauty foundation run a little bit yellow. Oh, I put a little bit too much, so we're just gonna ignore that. I also have a massive zit. It's like a volcano down there. There are a lot of makeup products now that are readily available compared to when I first started. Even the drugstore products have now improved, which I am pleased, because there's a lot of people that wanted to get into makeup but are easily put off by the pricing. Also, having Chemist Warehouse in New Zealand is so good, especially for drugstore makeup. You can buy them for a reasonable price. I don't normally put this much foundation on, but we're just gonna go with it. Now, the reason why I took a step back in making beauty videos is because I feel like I got sucked into doing beauty reviews, where I find myself purchasing a lot of makeup just to focus on reviews, which then just sits in my collection and collect dust. I know that I have products that work for my skin. I do have acne prone skin. And then for concealer, I actually have been loving this Makeup Forever HD Skin palette. Now this is in the shade Light. I was meant to get medium, but I'm glad in a way that I got light, because this shade actually works for me. I have traveled overseas and solely used this palette for all over the face. As you can see, I've already hit pan. I purchased this two years ago, and it's still going. So I mix this two as my concealer, and I like how it brightens my under eye as well. I do have semi-dark circles, but it's not as prominent how I used to have them. Overconsumption just really puts me off, and I find that I wasn't really conscious about money then, but then when I did a re-evaluation, I found that I was spending thousands of dollars on makeup that I don't even sometimes love or use. 2 years ago, I did a big change, decided that I'm no longer going to get sucked into buying new beauty products unless I really love it, or unless it is a version of the old product that I used to buy. I am in the process of just using what I have until it's finished, and then I will then purchase new products. That way it's a little bit more sustainable and within reason, because everything now has increased. Especially in New Zealand, we're currently in inflation and a lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of companies are doing restructure with budget restrictions. So I have to be mindful of where I put my money, as well as I have to also make sure that I'm secure just in case something happens. And also, being a homeowner changes your perspective. Obviously, when you're younger, you just work to purchase all the things that you want. As you become more aware of where your money goes, it does really help you appreciate what you already have. I have been obsessed with this blush. It's by 730, and you honestly need a teeny tiny bit. This is in the shade Nerve. I have two other shades. I thought I would go super blushy today because it's very dark and gloomy, so we need to brighten something. And I'm gonna go back into blending my concealer just a tad bit because it's starting to crease. I am using this Ilia Soft Focus Finishing Powder just to set my under eye, and then I'm going to use that to set all over the face as well. For my bronzer and highlight, I'm going to use this Mellow Stardust Glow palette in light medium. I've already hit pan on the bronzer, which I didn't think I'd love, but I honestly enjoyed using the palette. It's very handy, especially when you're getting ready in the morning for work, because you don't have to think. You just grab and go. I do use the blush as well, but I find that the blush can be a little bit too pinky orange on my skin tone, so I try to stay away and use a little bit more of a cooler pink. For blush, I am going to use the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush in Luminous Flash. This is one of my favorite because it's just a perfect pink blush with a little bit of glow. And I heard that Hourglass is going to discontinue in Mecca, which makes me really sad, because I honestly do love their ambient lighting powder. For setting spray, just to melt everything, I use this e.l.f. Stay All Night Microfine Setting Mist. I've only got this much left. I purchased 3 of this, and this is the last bottle. I gave one to my old workmate because she couldn't find it anywhere, and I happened to purchase 3 of these. So I've already used the other bottle. I gave one to her, so this is the last of the 3, and I'm committed to finishing that off because there's not much left. After I set my face, I actually quite like to kind of just push it in with a puff. Now this is a Kryolan puff. You can use whatever puff that you have available. This is just what I have on hand. I'm gonna go back to the finishing powder and just mattify the areas where it looks a little bit shiny, but I don't want to fully take away the glow. That's why I use the Secure the Sweat primer in the beginning, because that really helps with my oils. I wanted to brighten my eyes a little bit, so I'm going to use this Makeup Forever Twist and Light Loose Powder. This is like the Givenchy powder that everyone was sad about because it got reformulated. I've never owned the powder, but I have swatched it every time I go to the airport. Thankfully, I didn't get sucked into buying it because, as I said, the price is so expensive. For a powder, it's like $100. I am not honestly prepared to pay for that. And I remember that I already have this. I purchased this when they were having Sephora sale. So that's that. I like to set my brows with the NYX Thicket Stick It. I do love this because it's got fiber, and also it just sits nicely on top of the Got To Be brow tamer. I have tried using this first, and I didn't like how at the end of the day it kind of frayed around the edges of my brows, and it looked like I had a unibrow. Usually on my day off, I can go out and about just with this. Because we're catching up, getting ready, I am going to put a little bit of something on the eyes. This is the Makeup Forever magnetic palette. I believe this is the size extra large. In here are a collection of ColourPop eyeshadows that I've put together from another palette. I held on to these shades because these are perfect for traveling. Now you have your transition shade, you have a brown shade which you could also use to fill in your brows, mix in with a black, a white, and this is a highlighter from a Makeup Forever palette. Since we're already here, I'm just gonna put the highlight. Now I do enjoy this palette, and I have traveled with this palette exclusively. You have everything that you need for a neutral eye, and you can even use this white powder to set your under eyes or to brighten your under eyes, which I often do. I'm going to start with the transition shade, which is this one right here. I honestly don't put a lot of thought on my eyeshadow recently. I've been just slapping them on because in the morning I only have about 10 minutes to do my full makeup before we head out of the door. Oh, that's another thing. So where I move now, and also where I work now, I do enjoy public transport because in my old job I have to drive every day to work, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong, but sometimes when you're really tired and you had a long day, that's like the last thing that you want to do. And also what I found is that in my old job I was just driving home autopilot, which is not the best thing to do and not safe. Sometimes I forget how I even manage to get home. Like, I don't even remember driving, and then I pull up and then it will just click and I'm home. In my new job, it's really good because I catch a train. Takes me about 5 minutes to walk to my work from the train station, and it's good because it gets your mind off things, especially having a long day. It's just nice to have that buffer between work and then you get home. Not like work and then home, and there's no like in between to kind of reset your mind. I'm going to go for this maroon shade, just a little bit. And for work, honestly, this is my makeup. Just something on the eyes so I don't look tired. Eyeliner and mascara. For the eyeliner, I like to mix in the dark brown and the black. It is dark but not too dark or not too harsh. On nighttime glam, I would go in with just the black shadow. But for daytime, I just want a little bit of definition into the lash line and not too much. Sometimes I would put a little bit of white in here just to have dimension on the lid, and then I'll pop in the highlighter. Oh, that's another thing that I purchased from the drugstore and I've gone through so much. Eyeliner. Rimmel London has this eyeliner which is smudge proof. It doesn't even claim to be smudge proof, but I'm telling you, I have worn this and I've cried and it does not go everywhere. I think Maybelline also has a really good eyeliner, as well as Revolution. I personally don't like spending $50 on an eyeliner where it doesn't last for quite some time. I am guilty of that in the past, where my favorite eyeliner was the Hourglass Mechanical Auto Liner, and boy, that cost me an arm and a leg every time I purchase it. It's the best eyeliner I've ever used, but for the price, I could not justify repurchasing it again. So I opted for drugstore eyeliner. Essence also have good eyeliners if you want a colorful. They do have colorful selection, as well as just your usual brown or black. This one is dark brown, which I like because it's not too harsh on my eyes. So I just tight line using that and then curl my lashes. Drugstore mascaras are amazing. Essence specifically, but my Essence at the store where I shop, they always have no stock of the mascara that I love. It's a Lash Princess. At the moment, I'm using the Maybelline Falsies Surreal Mascara in matte black. This is a great mascara. It lasts throughout the day. I would say this is sweat proof because I've definitely gone to the gym and sweated, and this does not move around. However, if you cry or if you have a teary eye, it will smudge. Just a heads up. So if it makes contact with any liquid, or even if you splash water onto your face and it accidentally hit your lashes, it will honestly smudge, because that has definitely happened to me at work and it was not cute. And I like this mascara because sometimes when you sweat on your face, you know, some mascaras that aren't waterproof, the moment there's sweat, even just outside your outer corner, it will immediately smudge and your mascara will travel down and flake. And I like the wand. It makes your lashes very full and it gives so much volume. I gotta admit, I used to be a MAC lipstick collector because that's what I've seen and that was the trend back then. But I have decluttered a lot of my MAC lipsticks. For lip liner, my new favorite lip liner is Strip Down. I was obsessed with Oak and Whirl, but I recently discovered strip down, and I actually prefer this. Where's my lipstick? Oh. For lipstick, I am going to use this MAC Powder Kiss Velvet Blur Slim Lipstick in the shade Mullet Over. This is my favorite shade. And then to have a little bit of gloss, I'm using this 730. I forgot what it's called. It's like a lip balm. It's one of those things where you push the end and then it pushes the lipstick up. I don't want to push it more because it's already at the tip. And I like this because it has a little bit of pink hue to it. If ever I wear a dark brown, I kind of just put it on top and it changes the color. I'm looking a little bit pale. I think it's the lighting. Here is my final look. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will do a lot more talking videos. Let me know what you want to see next. Thank you. And as always, for all of you that stayed in this channel, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.